Welcome into the Verizon post-game show here on the Seth Joyner Show YouTube channel at 6abc.com. We're all happy that the Eagles did win the football game 10-7. We're happy that they improved to 7-2. That's a good thing. Let's take a moment and enjoy that. Okay, Seth, what the hell happened on that final possession by Nick Sirianni, Kevin Patullo, Jalen Hurts, and A.J. Brown? Because that was some of the dumbest football I have seen. Why? Why not punt that football away?
Say that again.
Why? What was that?
The last two series, actually, you know, you're up in the game, okay, and instead of running the football and forcing Green Bay to use their final two timeouts, you throw the ball two times in a row, two incomplete passes. Now you give them the ball with 2 minutes and 18 seconds left, two timeouts plus the 2-minute warning. And then you turn around and your defense gets a stop, and then you turn around and play goofy ball on the last possession. You know, if it's fourth down, let the clock run down, take the 5-yard penalties, punt the ball. They don't have any timeouts left. And now make them go 80 yards, but you're going to give them the ball? You're going to give them the ball on your 35, 40-yard line? You talk about coaching malpractice today, and at the end of the day, the team won the game. And I know we're just talking semantics because, you know what, neither one of these offenses look particularly good today. I don't know whether it was the cold weather. I'm not sure whether, you know, both of these defenses played at an elite level. Welcome to Philadelphia, Jalen Phillips.
Yeah.
Outstanding day today. I don't know which one it was, but at the end of the day, you know, when you've got the game gift wrapped for you and you make these kind of decisions, you know, that looked like the Nick Sirianni decision-making from the first 4 games of last year when we wanted to run him out of town. Then he turned it around and won the Super Bowl. But my gosh, you talk about, you know, making an automatic win in the last 3 minutes of the game, a nail-biter. Makes no sense to me.
Gunnar, after that play to A.J. Brown, the last pass by Jalen Hurts, They get the shot on the sideline there, and you could clearly see Nick Sirianni mouthing, why? I agree. Why? Why go for that?
So while he's mouthing why, the first thing I'm thinking is, did Patullo call a play, or did Jalen audible at the line of scrimmage? We don't know. But basically,
you weren't going to run the ball on fourth and 8.
You threw passes and you stopped the clock for them. You gave them extra timeouts by doing that. It's dumb play calling. It's dumb play calling.
I apologize for cutting you off. My question is, why does the head coach, who is the head coach CEO, the guy that's in charge of everything, why is he mouthing why? Doesn't he have the final decision on everything that's being done?
It's his offense.
Especially on a play like that.
It's his offense. This is his offense. He overrides anybody. So even if Patullo called it on the sideline, he should say, no, we're not running this. No, what are you thinking? No. And the ball was underthrown, okay? And I think A.J. gave a half-hearted effort on the play for whatever reason. But basically, you gave Green Bay another shot. You gave them another shot. What?
He's trying to bait me.
No, I wouldn't do that.
He's trying to bait me. I ain't going for it.
You're a man of your word.
All right, you know, hold up, Mr. Controversial. I'm going to ask you point blank. Do you think A.J. gave a whole effort on that ball?
Don't make me unplug.
Do you think A.J. gave a whole effort on that ball?
Man, listen, I'm done.
No, you're not. No.
I'm done talking about the A.J.
I'm just asking your question.
You know, listen, you got to figure out a way, okay, to get this man involved.
Man, I'm
just
asking you, man.
2 targets for 13 yards.
Yes.
For your $33 million wide receiver is incomprehensible.
Yes, I understand the frustration.
So I'm going to say that. So I can understand him being pissed off to the highest of pistivity today.
Wait. Hey, hold on. I got to look this up. What did you say? Pistivity?
Yeah.
Did you just make up a word?
No.
Is there such a word as pistivity?
Don't act like you ain't heard that before.
It's the highest form of pissed offness.
So how many years have I known you? How many years have we known each other? 10, 12 years?
Long time.
You have never not answered anybody's question. This will be the first time in the history of the D-Gun Seth Joyner relationship that you have not answered a question.
I told you guys in the pregame that I am done with the A.J. Brown saga.
Okay, I'll tell you what.
I'm done, man.
I'll tell you, I'm going to be real disappointed. You get on radio tomorrow on your podcast and you answer that question thoroughly when you first and foremost have the opportunity to answer that question here. What did you think of the effort?
I want you and everybody else to tune in. Okay.
Oh, so you're going to save it for another platform?
No, I'm just saying. I just tune in if you think there's going to be any different.
Mark,
we keep talking about the A.J. Brown scenario, and A.J. Brown is going to be. You even said yourself, he's going to be who he is, and it's going to be how it's going to be. It's not going to change. Right. Okay. So why talk about it?
I can't ask.
Okay. I can't wait for the tweet on Tuesday. Okay. It ain't going to come. Tomorrow is Tuesday.
Wait, from you?
He always tweets on Tuesday.
Wait, it'll be Tuesday in about 28 minutes.
Yeah.
So
if you save it for another platform, you can file me under Pistivity or whatever it was that you mentioned.
Oh, man.
All right. Now, there was a new guy in the nest here for the Philadelphia Eagles, and this was a defensive battle tonight. Also looked like a little bit of a battle against Lambeau's Field. Guys were slipping and sliding all over the place. But Jalen Phillips, let's get to our player to bank on right out of the gate. How about this guy? I lost track. But at one point, there were 40 snaps run by the Green Bay Packers offense, and on the field was the new guy for 29 of them going into that third quarter, and that was Jalen Phillips. And how about the day Jalen Phillips put together in his debut as a member of the Philadelphia Eagles? Very impressive day when you just look at the numbers alone. He was also helping out on that sack by Jalix Hunt early on in the ball game. He came up with 2 quarterback hits in total. He did get a tackle for loss, the 4 solo tackles, 6 tackles in total, and then I thought it was going to be the game-icing fumble recovery until the offense decided to be stupid. But, Jalen Phillips absolutely balled out. And I got to tell you guys this. When they got him at the trade deadline, I know some people were upset about the expiring deal. Some people didn't like the fact that it was a third-round pick they had given up. Jalen Phillips might have only come to Philadelphia with 3 sacks on the year, but this is still a guy that in his brief career under Vic Fangio, not even a full season because he got hurt, he had 6.5 starts, and I believe it was 9 total games, 6 starts, I think it was in that time. This is a guy now joining a defensive line with the likes of Jalen Carter and Moro Ajomo, who are still 2 of the top percentage guys as far as winning their battles at the line of scrimmage, and also throwing in a guy like Jalen Phillips who wins his battles at the line of scrimmage percentage-wise, especially in the defensive aspect of his game. And he came out here today and showed why Howie Roseman valued him so high. And quite frankly, I think will be a guy that Howie wants to really extend at the end of the season. But he came in here, shot out of a cannon today, Jalen Phillips did, Seth. What goes into that as a new player joining a defense, and just like that, you're off and running?
No, I think he's energized. We talked about it, in the pregame show, him making the comment, that being traded to the Philadelphia Eagles was the greatest day of his life. I think that when you've been in an adverse situation and you see no light at the end of the tunnel, it begins to weigh on you in your skill set. It's hard to put out your best, when there's trash all around you. So for him to be able to come here, the team is 6-2, defending Super Bowl champions, back with his old DC that trusts him and that he trusts. I think it was the perfect combination for him to say, okay, I'm going to go out here and show Howie Roseman that this 3rd-round draft pick that he gave up to acquire me was well worth it. Listen, the kid can play. He's got some skills and he upgrades the position. And more than anything in my position, in my opinion, okay, there's so much competition created at the edge and at the defensive end position now because you saw Jalix Hunt right back where he was the last 2 games, okay? Guys are going to have to compete for playing time now. Guys are going to have to compete to get into the rotation. When you have as many pass rushes as they have now, the level of play is going to elevate because guys want to be out there to be able to get their share of the plays and make some plays happen. So that trade is huge, absolutely huge for where this team was and what it needed.
Kudos to Howie, not for just going out and getting a Jalen Phillips, but getting someone who knew Vic Fangio's system. So it wasn't like it had to put limitations on him. Now, the scheme may vary a little bit because of the personnel overall. You brought BG back in and so on and so forth. But the bottom line is you bring in a guy who's an accomplished football player who's known for being a good pass rusher and a good run defender. I love how he shedded blocks and slid down the line of scrimmage to stop some of the running plays from Josh Jacobs. The one where he grabbed him around the neck and the collar and stopped him for like a 2 or 3 yard gain. So basically they've shored up a position that was a weakness for them, And Seth is right. You bring in more competition, all of a sudden, the existing guy's energy level and desire, not just to compete, but to get snaps, increases. So now you have in-house competition because even my buddy, old man, Brandon Graham, he's going to push people for playing time as well. Mm-hmm. And I think that keeps players a lot healthier when you can only have to play maybe 50% of the snaps instead of 75, 80. It keeps your players a lot fresher, especially in the fourth quarter, and especially against teams who like to run the football to control the clock.
Yeah, it was a very impressive game, obviously, from the defensive side of things today. Vic Fangio, though, you were a little critical of Seth in the first half. What would you have liked to seen from Vic Fangio's defense to maybe get that ball back for that Philadelphia Eagles offense?
Listen, I had no problem with Vic all day.
Okay.
Until after Devontae's touchdown.
Okay.
And we came out and we played soft and we let the Packers go 11 plays, 75 yards down the field. In one instance, you had 3rd and 8. Okay, and you had Adoree Jackson 12 yards off the ball. You just going to concede the first down? You're not even going to get up and challenge them? You know that all they want is the first down. I don't have a problem with you starting off the ball at 12 yards, but you can't start off the ball 12 yards on third and 8 and backpedal on the damn snap. Break on the damn out route and knock the ball down. Get them to 4th and 8. You just – and then when it starts to get tight, now they want to try to bring some pressure and ratchet it up and then put the players in position to make mistakes. Why let them go 75 yards down the field? I just don't understand that mentality. And most people will say, oh, we don't want to give up the big play in that instance. But what's the difference between giving up, a 50-yard touchdown, and giving up an 11-play, 75-yard touchdown? The touchdown is still a touchdown. I'd rather die trying to get the ball back from them and stop them from scoring points, period, than to just let them you just give, and then Josh Jacobs carries 5 Eagles into the damn end zone.
All right, well, let me.
No sense.
I'll reset the question then. What did impress you about what the Eagles did defensively to hold the Packers to only 7 points in this game?
Everything. Listen, they played the run better tonight. I got to give you the numbers because at the end, I'll take out Jordan Love's numbers. Jordan had 5 scrambles for 28 yards, okay? Other than that, they had 22 carries for 76 yards. Ever since Nakobe Dean has come back, the Eagles offense is averaging right around 78 yards per game, against the run. Now you take those out because if the rush does what it's supposed to do, those 28 yards that Jordan Love got, guess what? You don't get it.
Do you want to go to Jalen Phillips?
Oh, yeah.
Let's hear from Jalen Phillips.
What the young Bucks got to say.
He's addressing the media right now after his first game as an Eagle.
How insane is it to be playing at Lambeau Field on Monday Night Football? Eagles versus Packers. It's huge. Just processing all that and taking it all in. I definitely felt the energy, and it was exciting to be a part of.
Yeah, it was fumble there at the end. What were the takeaways from that?
I'm just glad I can come in and help the team. My biggest thing coming in, no ego, and just wanted to earn the respect of my teammates and my coaches and the fans and everybody. All I can really do on my end is obviously do my job and know my plays and everything like that, but just play with fanatical effort, and that's what I do, play in and play out. Obviously, it's great to be able to get some production and make big plays for the team. What better stage to do it on? So definitely super grateful.
So many people talk about the pass rush element of your position, but how much pride do you take in stuffing the run?
That's equally as important, if not more important. Obviously the sacks are flashy. Everybody talks about pass rush, but truly you can't rush the passer unless you stop the run. So I think it's a bit of a pride thing. And really, you can kind of see pass rush as more finesse, more kind of like sexy. But stopping the run is gritty. It's hard, and it takes toughness, and I think that's what we showed.
What was it like with Jalen Carter getting pressure up the middle? How did that help you? And likewise, how did you help him?
Yeah, I mean, I think we rushed well. I still think there's a lot of meat on the bone, and coming in, working together. We only had a handful of days in practice to kind of get this game plan right. So I think that the longer time that we spend together, the more time we spend in practice and meetings and everything, kind of just getting closer and getting that rush as cohesive as possible. I think it's just going to only go up from here.
You said Brandon Graham. Your first game of this team, a tight game as it kept going on. What was it like with the unit? How did you approach that? What did you notice from the rest of the team about that?
Man, I think the biggest thing I noticed is just no panic. Like the whole entire time, like there was just utmost confidence on both sides of the ball, and it felt really good to just be in that environment and just to know, like I said, the defense was handling our job and offense did what they had to do. So yeah, it was a great environment and just like such a fun game to be a part of for the first one out.
You said Brandon Graham helped you out a lot this week talking with him. How special was it that BG made his season debut and then Nolan Smith is coming back and you're making your debut with the Eagles?
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, BG's been amazing to me so far. I feel like I've known him for years already. And so to see the joy that he has to come out and play this game, I mean, that's what it's all about. And then Nolan as well. I think he's been chomping at the bit to get back on the field, and he deserves it all. I thought Jalen's played a great game. All of us really did what we had to do and, played with great effort out there and just have fun. So it's really cool to see all the guys coming back. And I think it's kind of fortuitous that all of us are, basically, not that it's their first games, but kind of coming back at the same time. So
your pressure early helped Jelix get that sack there. Mm. What was the key to that play for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of what pass rush is all about. Like, whether it's me getting the pressure and he gets the sack or vice versa, it's all about just affecting the quarterback. So, with that, for me, had a good rush. Try to get the ball out. Obviously, we'd like to get the ball out next time. But at the end of the day, you got to be selfless. And, I'm just happy for my teammates, for them to be able to get that play, because ultimately we all win when people are making plays. So to me, like, I'm not worried about missing a sack or whatever the case is. As long as I'm helping the team, that's really what it's about.
When was the last time you got emotional before a game like this?
Just like that, you got your bench edge rusher on the squad right now, and this is also after
the
Kobe Dean comes back. This is after you also get a guy like Jalix Hunt up and running in his sophomore season, and of course you also are able to get Nolan Smith back into the swing of things as well. I mean, how much does it help a team's confidence to know they got a guy coming in like that can come off the edge, provide that kind of pressure, and if not getting sacks for himself, like he just said, open up things for other people?
I'm gonna say this, man. I've always believed that in this new NFL where you only play guys 65%, 55 to 65% of the game, you can never have enough pass rushes off the edge. Because if it's your intent to try to keep players fresh, like Saquon, we seen Tank, we seen Shipley tonight, So the intent is to try to keep guys fresh for the end of the game. So as far as the pass rushes are concerned, this is a big deal because we got a stable. We didn't even see, was Josh Uche and Azeez Ojulari, were they both, inactive tonight? So now think about the competition that you create. If those guys want to play, they better turn it up in practice. If they want to get some reps, they better turn it up in practice. Because right now they seem to have a rotation. BG, Nolan, Jalen, Jalix. That's a four-man rotation for two spots right now. And every once in a while you drop the rookie, Jahad Campbell, in there on the edge in your five-man fronts. So it's going to be hard for those guys to get some playing time. Guys have got to prove to Vic Fangio, and he's always been old school like this, prove to me that you want to play by A, learning your playbook, B, showing up in practice and being able to do what the plan calls for you to do and showing me that you understand the defense that's being called. So I expect for this group, D-Gun, to just get better and better because they've got so much depth there now that they didn't have before.
It's a nice luxury to have. Because just 2 weeks ago, we were talking about how, I don't want to use the word inept, but lethargic the edge rushing position was when you consider that there wasn't an edge rusher that was leading your team in quarterback sacks. And oh, by the way, the guy who was the leader, he's decided to retire over a month ago. So for Howie Roseman to scramble and go out and get some components that could possibly make that position better. Now, we don't expect Brandon Graham to be the player he was, but his presence alone, his savvy, his know-how is invaluable, not just to the overall scheme of Vic Fangio, but in terms of giving guys breathers, in terms of helping these younger guys have a better understanding even of what is asked of them and seeing better what they're looking at across the line of scrimmage and trying to anticipate what's coming across the line of scrimmage. And then you bring in a young gun like a Jalen Phillips who gives you that extra juice as well. Nolan Smith being back. That's huge for this team. You know, Nolan Smith is fresh legs after being out for an extended period of time. And when you look at the games that they have coming up, you know, you got Detroit on Sunday night on a short week. And then you got to go to Dallas and play where Dallas plays a different brand of football than they do on the road. And then you still have the Bears, and don't snicker about the Bears because the Bears are playing better football and they play a physical brand of football. Then you have to go out west to play a Chargers team that's 7-3 and very physical. So, you know, this is going to be a significant learning curve for some of these younger guys who've been playing well. We've talked about how well some of these young guys have played up to this point. But now that you've added, you know, Jalen Phillips and Brandon Graham's knowledge and know-how and savvy in there, that will really speed up the learning curve for these younger guys as they continue this rotation off the edges.
All right, we hope to be joined by Nick Sirianni. You'll hear from Nick Sirianni, I should say, in the next segment. We're also going to talk to Bailey Livesey, who's been monitoring all social media that has to do with this show. And we'll break it down even further and hear from you when we return. This right here is a Seth Joyner Show YouTube channel. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. We appreciate you guys joining us on that channel, as well as 6abc.com. Your Philadelphia Eagles 7-2. Back with the Verizon postgame show after this.
Hi, I got some work done with another surgeon. If I give you the bill, can you give me a better deal on a better face? Like this?
We're not doing that.
Well, at Verizon, anyone can bring in their AT&T or T-Mobile bill, and they'll give you a better deal on the best 5G network.
What?
Read my lips. You're not as cool as Verizon.
Guess not.
Hey, my eyes are up here.
Bring your AT&T or T-Mobile bill to Verizon for a better deal.
I miss turtlenecks.
There's a number on the screen.
There's a number on the screen. There's a number on the screen.
There's a number on the screen.
There's a number on the screen.
There's a number on the screen.
There is a number on the screen.
There's a number on the screen.
There's a number on the screen. There's a number on the screen.
Since 1893, Weber Display and Packaging has been Pennsylvania's leading manufacturer of corrugated packaging and displays. We're family-owned with 4 Philadelphia locations, 2 converting facilities, a warehouse, and a fulfillment center. Designed through delivery, we exceed customer needs. Weber Display and Packaging. Our core values drive everything we do. Come join our team.
This upcoming segment is brought to you by Verizon. You've heard our opening remarks on the Philadelphia Eagles coming away with a 10-7 win at Lambeau Field, coming back from the bye week. Great defensive performance today by the Eagles. Jalen Phillips also dominant as an edge rusher in his first game as an Eagle. Now we want to hear what you have to say. Our social media correspondent, Bailey Livesey, has been monitoring all conversation going on social media. Bailey, what are the good people talking about when it comes to this Eagles victory?
Mark, well, the emotion on social media has kept me wide awake tonight. I mean, fans are frustrated despite the win. The Eagles had time to rest and reset, but the offense struggled. In your opinion, do these issues seem to be more about players' execution, or does it all go back to the play calling?
I'll defer to you, obviously, on this, Seth, as a former player. Do you go play calling or do you go players?
I think it's a combination. There were some blocking schemes that really left me scratching my head where Saquon got hit in the backfield. They kind of reverted to, you know, how they were blocking fronts the first 5 games of the year. I didn't see the normal double teams on the 2 tackles on the inside and then working up second level. So the creativity from Kevin Patullo left a lot to be desired. And there's just no way, in my opinion, you know, that A.J. Brown can go a complete game with 2 targets. You got to figure out a way to scheme him open, whether you're sending him in motion and you're forcing, you know. Now, the Devontae Smith touchdown was because of A.J. A.J. ran a little shallow crosser, pulled the safety up. Devontae gets behind the safety with the corner trailing. Boom, they hit him for the 39-yard touchdown. But I do believe that they've got to figure out a way, because now that teams are seeing that Devontae can beat you when you try to take A.J. away, that they've got to figure out a way to scheme him open. And then a lot of it's just execution. You know, there were missed blocks. There was guys that, you know, that looked like they didn't know who to block. Like, anytime, and me and D. Gunn got into a little bit of a, you know, chatter about it. You know, he was talking about the play of Quay Walker. Great player. Nothing against him. But when you're playing 4 or 5 yards off the ball, or you're a safety playing 10 yards off the ball, and you come at a dead run to the line of scrimmage, somebody is assigned to block you. There's no reason why that guy should be jumping in the backfield, hitting our running back before he can even barely get the football.
Shot a wide open gap. Yeah.
There's another play. Jordan Mailata falls down in the backfield. Saquon trips over him, essentially. Another play, they open up a huge gap. Saquon gets tackled behind the line of scrimmage, unfortunately. But no, left a lot to be desired.
Well, you know, a lot of teams have talked about the field conditions at Lambeau Field also, you know, even on warmer days, about how slippery the field is. And I know that field was frozen, and Green Bay has one of the best heated coil systems in all the NFL for cold weather stadiums. And, you know, that stuff starts melting, it gets a little slippery out there. It's like playing, you know, on water. But players have the ability to adjust cleats and get a longer cleat as well. But I just thought they would be a little bit more polished coming out of a bye week, well rested. You know, the Eagles under Nick Sirianni have done extremely well coming out of bye weeks. And, you know, but the bottom line is, when you can play a sloppy game like this, you know, and leave a lot of the fan base questioning your play calling and some of the things you did, and you still come out with that W, that's the most important thing. Because look at just what happened around the National Football League this past Sunday. Some of the games that ended the way they did, and you think, you're going, what? I mean, that's what the league wanted, parity, you know, unpredictability, and that's exactly what they got. So if you can be that jagged and inconsistent coming out of a bye week, and you thumbs up instead of thumbs down, take that and keep moving forward, because you got a bigger game against an even more high-powered offense and a team that likes to play just as physical as Green Bay coming up on a short week this Sunday. Yeah, luckily, you have that game in your house on Sunday night.
They're not getting away with winning the game next week
10-7
against that team in Detroit.
No.
If they play the way that they played tonight, you know, it will be a massacre at the link.
Yeah, you're right. I agree with you 100%.
Absolutely. Bailey, what else do you have for us?
Well, I've been seeing fans question all night long why the Eagles aren't being more aggressive, especially on 3rd and long situations. Could that conservative approach be what's limiting the offense's ability to build momentum?
Yeah, I think we all had a feeling while watching this game today, and I forget which writer it was that put it out there on social media. Basically, it was a competition to be who could be more conservative as a play caller in this one. And I am very much looking forward to hearing what Nick Sirianni has to say, because he too looked confused on that final deep ball by Jalen Hurts, when they should have been either taking the delay of game and then pooch punting it or whatever at the end of the game there, before they gave the Green Bay Packers one more opportunity to try to tie this game or, God forbid, win it. But he was even surprised. So I don't know where the communication comes in, but it certainly looked like they were aggressive when they should not have been aggressive, and conservative when they shouldn't have been conservative. There's a healthy mix of that tonight.
I will say this. Green Bay has one of the fastest defensive front sevens in the National Football League, and they make you hurry up your process. Look at how many times Jalen threw the ball when he probably didn't want to in a timing passing game. And that's what Green Bay does. They force you to make decisions you don't want to make, or decisions you have to make quicker. Now, luckily, they caught him. The one play they caught him on turns out to be the difference in the game, which was that 36-yard touchdown pass to Devonta Smith. But, you know, they had Jalen moving off his spot all night long, you know, and you got Micah Parsons chasing you down. You know, what Micah Parsons did tonight doesn't show up in the stats. He only had 2 tackles and 1 solo tackle. But the pressure he put on Jalen to force him, and how many times did Jalen have to throw the ball away because of Green Bay's back-end coverage, force them to expedite what they wanted to do. But they made the necessary plays when they had to. They made a lot of plays. We're all going to sit here this week talking about what in the world was this team thinking. But they made necessary plays when they had to.
I think the apprehension, you know, with fans and even us talking about, you know, Eagles in the midst of another win, I think it really boils down to, you know, you had 2 weeks. You had 2 weeks to like make these adjustments. And you had 2 weeks to figure out how you were going to attack this offense. You sat at home last week or defense. You sat at home last week and you saw the Green Bay Packers get mauled by the Carolina Panthers. And the Carolina Panthers win was more impressive than tonight's win. So I don't know, what the heck they were doing, over the bye week. What kind of adjustments the coaching staff, were making over the bye week. But we're certainly happy to be 7-2. We're certainly happy that we came out with the W instead of the L. But people are going to talk about how this team looks, because how you look today is a reflection of how you're going to look down the road and the prospects for where you're going to be when it comes crunch time in playoffs. Last season, this team was dominant. From week 6 forward, they were dominant. Even though they're winning games right now, they don't look dominant, except for on the defensive side of the ball. And then every once in a while, the defense will have a bad day and the offense will pick them up. But then, with the 2-game losing streak they had, both the offense and the defense look bad.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, though, when you talk about the fact that they were coming off the bye week, and this is what you were working on. This is when you were having a pizza party at Nick Sirianni's house, petting his dog, and that's what he talked about in his press conference. And this is what you put forward?
What's interesting, guys, is the fact that we talk about their upcoming schedule, and they got some real tussles coming up. But when you look at this Eagles team on paper on both sides of the football, against the upcoming opponents, except maybe Detroit, but I will say they have the best roster. When you look at both sides of the ball, now Detroit's roster is loaded on the offensive side. I would say almost the equivalent of the Eagles in terms of overall personnel. And I think they have the best 1-2 running tandem in the National Football League, Detroit does. But this team on paper, and you don't play the game on paper, you play it between the stripes, yes. But on paper, this team has the best roster, and they're healthy, and they've added weapons as well. So I hope this is not the norm of what we're going to see from the rest of the way, because that's inexcusable down the stretch. Now, I know a lot of people are going to blame Kevin Patullo, and rightfully so, especially with the game we saw tonight offensively. But players got to make plays also in a lot of cases. Players got to step up and make more plays. And so I think it's twofold. It's coaching, yes, but it's also the physicality of the players between the stripes.
Fair enough. Bailey, finally, what else do you have?
Well, there was a lot of what was that moments tonight in this game. I mean, after a game like this, what do we need to see differently from the Eagles when they take the field against Detroit?
I mean, I unfortunately thought that a get-right game against the Giants was exactly what they needed, and then take the bye week and then figure out a way to tap into that kind of production again. Seems like they got to go back to the drawing board now. And Gunnar, as you pointed out, on a short week where you got the Detroit Lions, I know a team that a lot of people wanted to see the Eagles face last year to see who would be the best in the NFC. That never happened because they ended up choking against the Washington Commanders in the divisional round of the playoffs. What do you need to see from this team, Seth, in order to see them improve, especially on the offensive side of things?
It's hard to put your finger on it because I kind of felt like after the last 2 games they were on an upward trajectory. And then you come in and listen, there's a whole lot of, things that you have to take into consideration. It's not easy playing in a game when the temperature feels like it's -4, okay? It's pretty obvious that both offenses struggled all game. We look similar. Both teams barely had 100 yards. Well, the Eagles had 125 total yards at the half, and Green Bay had 83 total yards at the half. So I don't know, was both defenses that dominant? It seems that way. But then when the game was really on the line, it seemed like both quarterbacks kind of heated up and started making some plays when they needed to. And I guess we're all just waiting for the Eagles to put together a string of games where they play consistently well like they did, in weeks 7 and week 8. I think that's all that, we're looking for, is for a glimpse of some type of consistency. But to be honest with you, yeah, we can talk about it, but when I look around the entire National Football League and I sat and I watched games for 2 Sundays in a row, 2 Monday nights in a row, and 2 Thursday nights in a row, I've seen some awful football. Some awful football. Now a win is a win, but I watched some awful football. Nobody looks dominant. Nobody looks, some people will say, Seattle looks dominant. New England looks dominant. Denver may look dominant. You know, their records look dominant. You can look at the Eagles' record because they're right there with those teams. Their record looks dominant, but when you look at the product on the field, do you see a consistent level of dominance? You know, the Steelers win big one week and then look like crap the next week. You know, the LA Chargers look great and dominant one week and leave you scratching your head. Every team in the National Football League looks that way. It looks like all of a sudden the Kansas City Chiefs are back to themselves. Then they get mauled, you know, and pushed down to 5-4. So I don't know. I really don't know when you ask that level, you know, what do the Eagles have to do? To me, they've got to get to a point where they play a little more consistently, you know, because if they don't, then you're going to have here and there these games that are, you know, close like tonight. And the law of averages say that at some point in time, when you play that close to the vest, the ball's going to bounce in the opposite direction once or twice and put you in a precarious position.
All right. Bailey, thank you very much. I appreciate it. One thing I am going to say about the chat there is I've seen some people already suggest bring Brian Dable in. Can Brian Dable be the play caller for this team? He apparently is available. All right, we look to hear from Nick Sirianni coming up in just a few moments, so we hope we're able to bring that to you, as well as him talking about what happened on the offensive side of things. All that and more when we return on the Verizon postgame show.
Picture this. You play big-time college football, you get some NIL money. You get drafted in the NFL, and you start making real big money. However, you're 23 years old, and you don't have any credit. Here at Mid-Penn Bank, we're helping these athletes establish credit through secured credit cards and other strategies that can help develop their credit now, so as they continue to make money, they can have long-term success financially.
At Revolution X, we know that fortunes are made in times of uncertainty. Are you selling your investment real estate? Are you interested in deferring your tax with a 1031 exchange? At RevX, we're experts in 1031 exchange planning and the use of passive real estate options using DSTs. Not in the midst of an exchange and want to invest in real estate but don't know where to start? Revolution X has institutional grade real estate options for any size investor right now. Set up a consultation at RevXWealth.com. RevX, defer the tax, maximize the gain.
Gentlemen, are you ready for a wardrobe update? Introducing Divine Nine's Custom Menswear, your clothier for truly unique, custom-made threads. With Divine Nine, you can design your own one-of-a-kind suit, jacket, slacks, shirts, golf pants, and shorts, perfectly handcrafted by our skilled artisans who will bring your vision to life. Prepare to stand out from the crowd with Divine Nine's Custom Clothier, official clothier of Seth Joyner. Custom clothing made for you.
Pride, passion, and persistence. These are the values that drive us all at Ron Jaworski Golf. We strive to deliver outstanding conditions as well as playability for golfers of all ages and abilities. Our championship golf courses offer a variety of challenges from a link-style walk along the river to an escape into the pines and everything in between. My team at Ron Jaworski Golf is committed to delivering memorable experiences every single day. See all we do at ronjaworskigolf.com.
This upcoming segment is brought to you by Recovery Unplugged. Welcome back to the Verizon postgame show following the Philadelphia Eagles improving to 7-2 on the season and also beating the Green Bay Packers 10-7 in Monday Night Football. A nice way to come back from the bye to a win. Let's get to the drive of the game and what the Philadelphia Eagles were able to pull together today, especially in the middle stages of that fourth quarter. 12:46 remaining in the game to the 10:35 mark in the fourth quarter is when the Eagles were able to put together what ended up being their game-sealing drive, and two huge plays on this one. One, I believe, a 41-yard reception behind the line of scrimmage by Saquon Barkley, made one man miss, took it for 41 yards, and then the drive was capped off. Just four plays on that drive. Devontae Smith caught a 36-yard touchdown reception to give the Eagles at the time a 10-0 lead. Devontae Smith on his way to a career year so far. Looks like he's going to be able to put up career numbers as far as yards on a season. And this week, Seth, he was asked about, this is funny, he said, hey, well, you know you're on the pace to have a career year, right? And he was like, yeah, I look at the numbers. He looks at the numbers, but he says it never takes him off what the goal is, which is helping the team ultimately. And DeVonta Smith, really over the last 3 weeks, Seth, has been money.
Well, he's been drawing the one-on-one coverage, and he's been beating his guy. When I talk to a guy like, Mike Quick, who I respect as a wide receiver that played in this league at the highest of levels, he says that DeVonta Smith may be one of the most polished wide receivers that he's ever seen, and he likes everything about him. And I think people, when they look at DeVonta, they think he's not a burner. He's got long legs, long strides, and he's smooth, and he runs really good routes, and he knows how to set DBs up, when he's running his routes. So, listen, kudos to him. Sometimes it's, you go back 2 or 3 years, and it was AJ's time. AJ was the one that was making all the plays. He was the one that was wide receiver one, So now that teams are focused on trying to figure out how to take AJ away, if Smitty's going to draw the one-on-one coverage, or he has the key matchup, then the ball has to go there. It is what it is. At some point in time, teams are going to realize, hey, we can't defend DeVonta Smith the way that we've been defending him, D-Gun. We got to do something different. And when they shift, boom, we click in with A.J. Brown.
The only way to defend DeVonta really is try to box him, with the safety over the top. I've said this before.
Yeah, but you can't do that with both of them.
Well, I know. That's what I'm saying, which means you open up A.J. and giving him the one-on-one coverage. I think DeVonta has emerged as one of the best route runners in all of the National Football League. Even though he's slight of build, nothing bothers this guy. You can't get in his head. You can't take him off of his game. He'll take some hellacious shots. He'll get up. He keeps on ticking. His route running is pristine. His ability to control his body and catch the ball away from his body, whether it's backside, over the top, whatever the case may be. He does not drop many balls. I don't care whether they're low, whether they're high. If he can get his hands on them, he's snagging them down. And that's the credit to the time and effort that he's put in to be all that he can be as a receiver in the National Football League.
Yeah, his reception for the 36-yard touchdown was great, obviously. But then there was that also money play on 3rd and 12. Jalen, I believe he had to roll a little bit to his right, little out route to DeVonta Smith. You talk about route running. On that field today that you just talked about, Gunner, as if you're playing on water, for instance, in Green Bay, he made that cut on a dime and made that reception on that 3rd and 12.
Well, he set the DB up. He got the DB to turn his hips the wrong way, thinking he was running one route. And the minute he got him to flip his hips, boom, he stuck his foot in the ground and headed for the sideline, and Jalen hit him on, what was it, 3rd and 11, and he got something like 16 yards. Yeah. The kid just knows how to play the game the right way.
And you know what? On that same drive, I believe it might have been even the next play, Barkley gets the run up the middle for 5 yards. Micah Parsons' trip play never was called. And that was an odd one because you rarely see in a tripping instance someone put their hand out right over their foot. So what was that for Micah Parsons?
They got all of these phantom calls that you see in a game. There's no way that you can tell me that if you got all these referees that's looking in that area, and Micah knew he couldn't make the play. It's actually a smart play because he got away with it. Because in actuality, that tripping play is a 15-yard penalty. But he reaches for Saquon. He knows that he can't get him, and he throws his leg out and he trips him. If he doesn't trip him, Saquon might have bumped his head on the goalpost. But I think at the end of the day, the refereeing in the National Football League this year has left a lot to be desired across the board. I think there are too many flags that don't make a difference in the play. Like if they run the ball or they throw the ball to the right and somebody's holding way on the other side of the field, that penalty does not affect the outcome of that play. Keep the damn flag in your pocket, You get these games where there's like 20, 30, 35 flags in the game. Nobody came to see y'all throw dirty laundry, yellow draws all over the field. We came to see the players play. Keep it in your pocket. Keep it in your pocket unless it really affects the play and it affects the yardage of the play.
I don't know if Kevin Patullo has locked Nick Sirianni in a closet somewhere in Green Bay, so he won't go to the podium to answer questions about Kevin Patullo's play calling throughout this game, but we're still awaiting Nick Sirianni to take to the podium. Seth, I want to flip it on the defensive side of things here. Before the game, during the pregame show, you had talked about looking at Jalen Carter in this game. Two passes defended today. He was able to get his hands up there. 3 combined tackles, 2 tackles, 1 assisted tackle today. What did you make from Jalen Carter on that defensive line?
Listen, I mean, when you see him deflecting balls, that tells me that he's being double teamed. There's a lot of plays when you watch the game of football. You look at a player, and we're so stat driven. When we look at the stat line, we want to know how many tackles he had, how many sacks he had, how many pressures did he have, how many TFLs did he have. But in actuality, when you have a guy like Jalen Carter, not only does he make situational plays for himself, but he's so disruptive that he creates opportunities for other players to make plays. So I think that, you can, while we look at the game, in the early aftermath stages, it's hard to for me to assess and say, man, I sound like Nick Sirianni right now. It's hard, and Jalen Hurts. It's hard for me to really say, how effective he was today until I really go back and I look at the film and see how he affected the game and how he created opportunities for other players to make plays, because he's going to get a lot of double teams. Sometimes, the way that it works, he gets even triple teamed, So that's going to free up other people to be able to make plays.
Yeah, Gunnar, this is a guy that we talked about before the season started. We talked about whether or not he could really tap into the talent. He's raw talent, but then you talk about educating him at the position. How far has he come since, well, really, I should say the second game of the season, since he didn't really play the first one?
It has been slow and steady, but the bottom line is it has been positive. It has moved in the right direction. You see little nuances where the game is getting better overall, and that's what you want. There has been no stagnation, whatsoever. It's been a continuous growth, and it takes time. At this level, everything doesn't come all at once. It takes time, because every week you're seeing vastly different teams that you're facing, and you can sit and watch film all day, but then you go out and execute it, because every team is going to try to throw a new wrinkle that you haven't seen yet, and every week they're bringing out new plays from their playbooks and stuff. So I'm pleased with the overall progress.
All right, now when you do look at the offensive side of things here, we've talked a lot about the play calling. Do you look at Kevin Patullo as someone that needs to be more creative? Because we've seen an attempt to be more creative. They don't stay with that type of creativity. Or you look at, before the bye week, the blocking schemes you talked about earlier, Seth. You saw them try to almost crack the code against the Giants. You didn't see anything similar to that against the Green Bay Packers this time around. Obviously a different team, a better team, but nothing the Eagles were doing looked anything like what they were able to do against the Giants, at least from a play calling perspective.
I think, coaches spend so much time watching film, trying to create new looks, trying to be innovative and trying to be creative. I think sometimes they outsmart themselves, So you, as a coaching staff, you got 2 weeks. You're sitting in your office, for 13, 14 hours a day. Your whiteboard's behind you, your film projector's in front of you, and you're just running film. And then all of a sudden you stop, you turn around, you draw something up on the board, and what are you doing? You're trying to come up with something more creative. But I think sometimes, coaches lose sight of the fact that the game of football is just a game of football. There are some tenets of the game that never, ever change, okay? If you're running some things that you're having success with, unless the numbers say that you can't take advantage of it, okay, then you keep running it until they stop you. You keep doing it until they prove that they can stop you. But sometimes what coaches try to do is they try to make adjustments in advance, thinking that the defense is going to do something different, Like, there are times when Jalen comes up to the line of scrimmage. Like, they ran a play tonight, Mark, and we were looking at each other, and when they showed the replay, see, I look at the game from a number standpoint, especially in the run game. If I want to run the ball to the right side, if I have favorable numbers, then I can run the ball to the right side. If I don't have favorable numbers, meaning that from the center over, I'm outnumbered by 2 guys or 1 extra guy, the likelihood of me being able to succeed that way isn't very high. So that means that Jalen Hurts needs to make the check at the line of scrimmage, seeing where the numbers are, because he's setting the protection. And the only way that he can set the protection is that he understands where the numbers are. Check the play and run the ball the other way if you're going to run it. You cannot tell me in year 5 or year 6 that that's not built into this offense. It's not built into his DNA, because when they go hurry up offense, Jalen Hurts is running the offense. He's calling the plays. So he has to make the adjustments in order for the run game to work. If it doesn't look right, check out of it and check into something else. Even if that means getting out of a run and getting into a pass play, because that's more advantageous to you.
No, I want to stay on that for a second, but I see you on the phone over there, and it's been a long time, Gunner, since the game ended, and we still haven't heard from Nick Sirianni. Is there anything going on with the Eagles right now?
Yeah, all you see is fire Patullo. So that's all you see.
Yeah, but are the Eagles thinking fire Patullo?
No. And even if they were, do you think anybody would come out and publicly say that?
Not right now.
No.
Maybe tomorrow.
No. That's not going to happen. That's not what this organization does. That's not the character of players they bring into this organization. Now, they may whisper among themselves in terms of what the heck are we doing? Why are we doing this? Why? But they're not going to bring that. They're not going to bring that out. Because they won the game, number one. Number two, what are they now? The number 1 seed in the NFC? Right now?
As of right now, yeah.
It's 7-2. So, they're not trying to disrupt the apple cart. And then you get, like I said, you get a guy like BG. He'll tell, hey, man, look, we're winning games. It doesn't have to be pretty. Keep your mouth closed and keep playing football. Let's keep stacking up these W's, no matter how we do it. I don't care if it's a fumble rooski. I don't care if it's a ricochet off the goalpost. I don't care if it's, ball goes through 5 players' hands, but it lands in the right hands of the Eagle. If we get the W, keep stacking them up, we're in a prime position to have those all-important games in our backyard when January rolls around.
I would agree with you. But it was just, 2 years ago, the Eagles essentially fired the defensive play caller when they were 10-3?
Hey, that was 2 years ago, bro. That's 2 years ago. 2 years ago.
They were 10-3. You are what your record says you are.
That kind of thing can only happen on the defensive side of the ball.
Okay.
You're never going to see that on the offensive side of the ball, because that side of the ball is way too complex. I believe that their thought was, okay, we can move Sean Desai upstairs, have him, talk down to Matt Patricia. But then when they said, oh, okay.
Oh, here we go. Nick Sirianni addressing the media right now in Lambeau.
My voice a little bit. We played really good. That's a physical. We know that's a physical team that we played, and we know this is a physical league division that they play in. So we knew we had to be physical because we knew they were going to be physical. And so, I thought the defense did an excellent job taking on blocks. Again, I'll have to look at the tape of everything, but I did happen to see a replay. Bob showed me the replay of the 4th and 1 stop where, Jalen Carter got some pressure inside. And then really good job by Jalen Phillips of pushing that back and playing on their sideline of scrimmage. So I think that was a good example of what we kind of saw today. I thought that the rush was active all game, creating pressure, getting 3rd down stops. I don't know what were they on 3rd down. I thought we did a really good job on 3rd down getting off the field. And a lot of that had to do with how we played up front on the defensive line. But, yeah, I just think that as the year goes on and it gets colder and, that physicality, we put a lot into that. We talk about that an awful lot. And we got tough guys. So, and we know that we're going to get everybody's best shot, and they're tough. Again, so much respect. That was a dogfight, hard place to come in, to play. I got a lot of respect for Coach LaFleur and that football team. We've played them a lot of times here in the last couple of years, so a lot of respect for them.
You mentioned Jalen Phillips. What did you make of his overall influence on this game?
Yeah, obviously, you guys saw it. It felt like he was very disruptive. Like I said, the rush was active and all game from all parts. We did a good job of rushing as a unit. At 4th down play, I think signifies the kind of physicality that the man has. And I think about his week of practice and how he goes about his business. Man, he loves football. He loves working. And you could just see it the way he was running around at practice. His motor is constantly running. With Wash all the time, just pushing to get better. So obviously it was a really big impact that he made tonight for his first game as an Eagle. Man, he was I got to again look at the tape, but he did a lot of good things that you could see off the Huff.
The end of half sequence and the end of game sequence, what factored into keeping the offense on the field on the fourth down in the end of the game, and then sitting on the ball at the end of the half?
So the end of the game, we're up 3, and I would have liked to be in a little closer to kick a field goal, but the closer we would have got, the more. Again, you play every situation a little bit differently, but I think it was into the wind on that one. I knew the kick would have to be a little bit lower trajectory of a kick on that particular one. I got a lot of faith in our offense. It didn't work out on this one. We just didn't get it. But the decision, I stand put on that decision. Especially being up 3, because you go up 6, they're still going to need a touchdown, being a Hail Mary, everything like that. So we would have ended the game if we would have got that, and I got a lot of faith in our guys to be able to do that. But the reason I didn't kick the field goal again, being up 3, and also just this trajectory into the wind there on that particular one.
How about the end of half?
End of half. So that one was the one we threw. Obviously you go out there and we get that turnover with 23 seconds, maybe 23 seconds. And really wanted to be able to see, hey, we had 3 timeouts, 2 timeouts, 3 timeouts. Can we get ourselves into range? And the first down, I think, was a scramble. Second down was incomplete. So third down, what I wanted to be able to do in that situation was run it to force them, to get the clock down. We knew we could get it under 5 seconds or 5 and below. And then you don't have to punt in that situation because you can throw the ball up and waste the time like we did. So I played that how I thought that was, I always am really critical of myself in these situations, and I played those exactly how I wanted to play those in those scenarios. Again, wanted to go get points. We just didn't get positive plays on those first 2. So that's why we decided to do what we did on that one.
Pretty consistently this year, you've had players late in the game make big plays, even though maybe throughout the game it hadn't gone their way. What's it say about the mental toughness of the players that they can put that behind them and make big plays late on a stage like this?
Yeah, that's shoot. These guys are here because they're ultra competitive and ultra talented, but I feel like we got a good football team, and you don't make it on this football team unless you got extra stuff too, right? And you don't, and we got guys with extra stuff in them, right? That mental toughness to be able to, we talk about that as much as we talk about physical toughness. We talk a lot about mental toughness as well, of being able to, be in the moment at all times, right? That is so critical in our sport, and sports in general, is always be in the moment, regardless of if you made a good play before, if you've been having a great game, if you've been having a shaky game. All that matters is the next play. We'll get everything else fixed as we continue to move forward. But to have guys like that and coaches like that can be in the moment when it's just grimy and nasty. That's what I said in there. I'm like, hey, sometimes they're ugly. And Vic goes, I didn't think there was anything ugly about that. And then defense decided there wasn't. But, in a moment, like, that's what I said to Saquon. We're up 3-0, and Jalen and Saquon make this great play, and AJ gets a block on the play. We really needed that in that moment. We really needed that. And it's like, hey, it could not be going your way. And then you just got to stay in the moment. And what a good example for our guys. That's how life is too, and I try to correlate those things as much as I possibly can to life, is because you're going to be up sometimes, you're going to be down sometimes, but it's about how you respond, and it's about how you be in the moment for that next one, because all that matters is that next play and learning from the past.
What does it mean to have Jalen Phillips' size in there?
Nick Sirianni right there addressing the media at Lambeau Field. I don't know what to make of his answer as to what happened at the end of the game. He was talking about possibly going for a field goal when he had 33 seconds left on the clock on the 4th and 6. He wanted to get a little bit closer.
But he goes deep.
Was that a non-answer? Covering? Covering?
Hey.
Sounds like he's covering.
Hey, look, you're controlling the clock at that point. All you got to do is run the football, and Green Bay can't stop it. Okay? And you decide to throw 2 pass plays incomplete, stop the clock, then you go deep to AJ. and stopped the clock again and gave Green Bay a chance to come back down the field. And as we know, even though McManus missed that field goal badly tonight, kickers kicking 50, 60-yard field goals these days are like chip shots. Why put yourself in that situation? I don't understand the play calling at all. And if he's covering for Patullo, that's what a head coach does. Cover for his offensive guy, take some of the heat off of him, and puts more of the focus on him. But you're in a knowledgeable fan base in Philadelphia, man. People can see what's going on here. And basically, he just said a whole lot of nothing, if you ask me.
Well,
that's what he just said. I'm sitting there going, I got nothing out of his post-game press conference tonight.
Yeah.
But listening to him, the one question I wish somebody would ask is, where's the slant routes to A.J.? That man wins the slant route 99 out of 100 times. Where are the slant routes to A.J.?
I feel like we've asked that question a lot.
I mean, does it not exist in the playbook anymore? Even if a DB is playing press coverage on A.J., we've seen him with his catch radius and his hands and his body structure, we've seen him win those battles 9 times out of 10. Why are we not seeing him anymore? Seth? Why, Seth?
I think you're leading the witness.
There was, I've been critical of Nick Sirianni at times, and I've turned about face at times. What we just watched was an absolute travesty. I don't know what in the world he's saying. None of what he said made any sense, and there was no logical explanation for the questions that the first 2 questions, or the questions about, before the half and at the end of the game.
Right.
There was no logical explanation for that. He was like, we ran it. It worked out exactly the way we wanted to work out. They were dumb plays. They were boneheaded plays. You got three timeouts, okay, with 30-something seconds left at right before the half. You run the first play, you go incomplete. Then you get a penalty, and then you decide to just burn the rest of the time, and let's go in at half. Okay, I give you a pass on that one because you're going to get the ball coming out, at halftime. But the way he managed the end of that game, it almost looked like, and then the way he worded, he's shaking his head. What was that? What was that? It almost looked to me, guys, like somebody else made the decision and he had to go along with it.
Exactly.
Yes. It did not look that was that didn't look like that was the decision of his choice. I don't care what he says.
No, you know what? I don't mean to cut you off, but what you just said, he had to go along with it. When he kept saying, what was that, to me it looked like, who made this call?
Exactly.
Who made this decision? That wasn't what we were supposed to be doing. Who altered this? So that's what it looked like to me more so than anything else. He seemed shocked that was the play call, because we're still sitting here. We're not even in the huddle. We're not on the sideline. We're sitting there going, why would you throw a deep pass to AJ in a situation like that and stop the clock?
You want to know why? Because they were anticipating zero coverage again, okay? And how many times have we seen them in that scenario, okay, where they get zero coverage and they throw the ball to AJ on a 50-50 ball down the sideline like that? My thing is, okay, you shouldn't be shocked if you let the clock run down and you call timeout and you pull the offense to the sideline, and then you make the decision on 4th down and to put them back out there, okay? So that shock, shocks me, because the fact that you send them out there, what I thought they were going to do, okay, you let the clock run down, you take the timeout. I'm thinking you're going to go out there, you're going to try to hard count them, and you're going to try to, get them to jump. If they don't, you take the 5-yard delay penalty, you move back, and you kind of punt a little pooch punt.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
But the fact that they actually snapped the ball was like mind-blowing to me.
Yeah.
And then to watch him after it didn't work out, to have this shocked look on his face and to be miming, what was that? What was that? Dude, you're the head coach of this football team. There's nothing that transpires without your okay.
Yeah.
Okay? He's the only coach on the sideline that you see all of these coaches with these headsets on. Just for you guys who don't know, all the coaches on the sideline with headsets, okay? The defensive coordinator can talk to the defensive staff. The offensive coordinator can talk to the offensive staff, okay? The special teams coach is tied into the defensive coordinator and the head coach, and maybe the offensive coordinator. But the head coach is the only coach that's tied into everybody. He's got all these buttons on the side. So when the defense is on the field and the defensive coaches are having a conversation, guess who's listening? The head coach. When the offensive staff, when the offense has the ball and the offensive coordinator is talking to the quarterback coach and all the offensive staff, guess who's listening? The head coach. Okay? When the special teams coach D-Gun is having a conversation, guess who he's talking to? The head coach. So how in the world is he so shocked by what he sees when he's got access to everything that's going on and he's supposed to have the final say?
Maybe the quarterback stepped to the line of scrimmage, saw something he felt was favorable, and audibled out of what was called initially.
That's the question I was waiting for.
Yes.
What happened on that play? Not the
I don't care what happened. They had no business running the play.
I agree.
No, they didn't.
I agree.
But they ran it. But they did run it.
But they ran it, exactly. And you would have absolutely known he was lying if he would have said, I called that play. That's what I wanted to do there.
Right.
Because he was shocked on the sideline.
Exactly.
The camera literally caught him saying, why? And I'm still curious as to why. I'll say this, though. At least it wasn't predictable because no one expected him to do something that dumb.
I know one why.
What's that?
I know why it took him so long to come to the podium.
Why is that?
They was working on that response.
Oh, absolutely. And that's what they came up with?
Yes.
It's like the bye week. They come back with that offensive effort? Come on.
Because when he answered, I'm sitting here going, huh?
Yeah. I went cross-eyed halfway through his answer, as a matter of fact.
Man, it was like the Peanuts teacher sitting up there. wah. I'm like, come on, man.
All right, there's a couple more things I want to get to, and that's what the offense did in their their two previous possessions to the very last one after the Packers, unfortunately for them, fumbled it away. We will get to Dr. Bruce Grossier coming up in a second here to talk about Lane Johnson, for instance. We'll break it all down and more. Still plenty of meat left on the bone to break down in this Eagles 10-7 victory and improving to 7-2 on the season. All that and more when we return. This is the Verizon postgame show.
There's a number on the screen.
There's a number on the screen. There's a number on the screen.
There's a number on the screen.
There's a number on the screen.
There's a number on the screen.
There is a number on the screen.
There's a number on the screen.
There's a number on the screen. There's a number on the screen.
Business owners love the path of least resistance. So when it comes to their banking, that's where we want to help them. Whether they're working on their consumer lending, their wealth, their commercial lending, their insurance, our focus is to help plan holistically to ensure financial success both in the business and the owner's personal lives. So reach out to one of our professionals today.
Gentlemen, are you ready for a wardrobe update? Introducing Divine Nine's Custom Menswear, your clothier for truly unique, custom-made threads. With Divine Nine, you can design your own one-of-a-kind suit, jacket, slacks, shirts, golf pants, and shorts, perfectly handcrafted by our skilled artisans who will bring your vision to life. Prepare to stand out from the crowd with Divine Nine's Custom Clothier, official clothier of Seth Joyner. Custom clothing made for you.
Hi, got this old thing and the bill from the store where I got it. Figured you could beat it with a better deal on one of these big boys.
That doesn't work that way.
Well, at Verizon, anyone can bring in their AT&T or T-Mobile bill and they'll give you a better deal.
I thought Verizon was pricey.
No, better deal, best 5G network. Back to the TV. Does it come higher than 8K? Because I don't like to squint.
Ma'am, take your TV and go.
Bring your AT&T or T-Mobile bill to Verizon for a better deal.
Guess you're not as cool as Verizon.
You don't know that?
This upcoming segment is brought to you by Weber Display and Packaging. Before we get to Dr. Bruce Grossinger, we are going to go to Jalen Hurts addressing the media at Lambeau Field, see what he has to say about the offense's lack of production in this one, but still coming away 7-2 on the season. Jalen Hurts live at Lambeau.
I think he's as dynamic as it gets. He showed up and made some big-time plays today. And that's what he's been doing all year. And so, definitely don't win this game without him making the plays that he made.
To see Lane Johnson return to the game, what did that do for you and the team?
Well, I know Lane is going to go out there and give it his all with all his might. And I didn't know exactly what was going on, but to have him on the field is always a boost of confidence.
Obviously, as much as the offense had difficulty tonight, like in 2 plays, you guys went 77 yards, got a touchdown. And what was it like seeing Saquon do that spin move and just the way the offense can strike like that in a matter of 2 plays?
That's a great question. Well, it's not a capability thing. When we look at ourselves in the mirror, it's not a capability thing. It's not a capability thing at all. It's, we're very confident in what we can do. We just got to go out there and play at a high level more consistently. And, I think this game was a perfect example of what it could be when we take advantage of our opportunities, and then when we don't control the things that we can, how they can hinder us. And so talk about the false starts, talking about the things that take no talent, being on the same page, having particulars in what we're doing, and being aligned in when we do it. And then, for me to start the game off and give the ball away after a long drive, that stops the flow of what we're doing. So that was a big mistake in the game that I own. It's a great play by him, punching it out. But those are things that I can control, and I think as a group, we got to control the things that we can control, and that starts with me doing that.
Okay, we kind of talked about this earlier in the week, and you mentioned you wanted to leave here this time with a win, but obviously this was kind of where your career started in some sense. You threw your first touchdown pass. Was there any nostalgia, after this game, maybe during the game at some point, kind of just reflecting? I know you're not huge on reflecting because you're in the process of your career, but if you understand what I'm saying, just kind of, do you have any thoughts?
I did something different that I never really done before, is go out before the game and assess the stadium and get a feel for the environment and the weather a bit. And I felt like that was warranted given where we're playing at. And I say how big of a game it was coming in, and knowing it's off of a bye week, knowing it's against a really good opponent, and knowing we're entering a big stretch. But I'm very fortunate to be where I am. I know I'm not here without the hard work, the patience, and taking advantage of an opportunity, and ultimately the organization giving me an opportunity. And so I definitely say it means something to me to kind of complete the circle of winning in Lambeau.
What does it take for individuals to not get discouraged on offense when the plays aren't coming?
What do you mean?
For individual players, when the offense is sputtering a little bit, to not get discouraged in those moments.
You just got to play the next play and take it a play at a time. It's an offense. It's a unit. It's a team. It flows as one. And so, there are times where things may not go a desired way. Ultimately, it's about how you respond to those things. And when you look at a win like today, that's what it comes down to. So, I want to continue to push forward and collectively, come together and always keep the main thing in the end. But, the bottom line is to go out there and try and find ways to win games. And everybody's role is important. Everybody's role may not be the same, but it's equally important. And so taking pride in that and giving it your best every time you have a chance to.
We heard Jalen Phillips this week talk about how this was one of the best moments of his life coming to this team. How happy are you for a guy like that coming to this team, same week, the performance he had, and also what does it say about the culture of everybody on this team?
Yes.
Jalen Hurts addressing the media at Lambeau Field. Not a lot to offer, him or Nick Sirianni after the game, but I'm glad.
I think they both were late to the podium because they was trying to figure out what they was going to say.
All right, guys, here's what's going to happen.
Or
They're
they were
going to
trying
ask
to
you.
thaw out.
Well, Trying to warm up, get the core temperature back up. Exactly. Let's talk a little bit about the health of some of these players, not necessarily core temperature, but Lane Johnson most notably. Dr. Bruce Grossinger, our sports doc, is standing by. Lane Johnson comes back into this game. It looks like an ankle injury. Dr. Bruce Grossinger, what can you tell us about Lane battling through, or at least attempting to, tonight?
When I looked at the play at first, I saw Evan Williams, number 33, looked to it. I didn't play in the league, of course, but it almost looked like a dirty hit on Lane Johnson. A blindside shot right at the knee. You saw his knee went into a valgus deformity, which is an L, and for all the world, it looked like a knee injury, and he ended up limping and was carted into the locker room. So a very ominous, scary-looking situation. At halftime, they mentioned it was an ankle injury. We saw him come back to the sidelines, rubbing his ankle, and just incredible show of bravery, came back and played the fourth quarter. So we presume that they have specially long cleats in Green Bay because everybody was slipping around in the first half. And if your knee gets hit and your foot and ankle remain on the turf, then you could have a twisted ankle. And luckily, there were x-rays taken at halftime, and it seems that obviously there was no fracture. So Lane's a tough guy. He's going to get a lot of ice and a lot of therapy. But at first, I was worried it might have been a knee injury just looking at the hit. And I'd be curious. Obviously, Seth saw the play. It didn't, it looked a little ominous. It looked a little purposeful, and that's not good.
Yeah, and a guy like that comes back into the game to get a couple of snaps in there in the fourth quarter. How do they manage that? And is it just something that you would figure be a pain tolerance and something that you can't make worse? How do they figure that?
Well, I think it's a judgment. Obviously, Lane had to tell them that he felt okay. There weren't any fractures. And a lot of times you'll see a more conservative approach, like with Cam Jurgens. He has a knee strain, and they've kept him out. They've been very conservative with him. But I think Lane, they trust him so much that he knows his body very well. And to see a guy get carted off and come back and play in the fourth quarter was exceptional.
My thing is, Doc, why chance it? Because at the end of the day, Fred Johnson was playing some pretty good ball for them. Why chance having him go back out, further injuring it? And I guess the long-term prognosis is, okay, what does this look like for next week? Because, you play on Monday night, you got to play again next Sunday night. And obviously, Lane Johnson is a veteran that's been around a long time. He doesn't necessarily need to practice, but you're much more encouraged by having him out at practice, sometime during the week. So why even put him back out there when, he's not 100%? Because I think he came back out in the second half. He played 3 or 4 plays, and then he went back to the sideline. And then again, we saw him again in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I can't answer that question. And I think, he's such an important guy that you really don't know. It's a very acute injury. So, Seth, I share your concern. And there's no offense either way. Ironically, with or without him, there was almost no offense in the game. There was only 3, there's 3 plays really in the game, the 2 plays to Devontae and the 1 run by Saquon. But that's separate from the issue of why would you put Lane Johnson back when he was carted off. So I can't answer that question. There's a lot of unanswered questions. Certainly, Nick Sirianni and Jalen seem to evade those questions about the end of the game. I can't really remember anything like that.
Dr. Bruce, also it's a short turnaround here. You got to face the Detroit Lions coming up on Sunday afternoon. When it comes to a game like this, Cam Jurgens missed this one after the bye week. He's still dealing with an injury. Landon Dickerson, has been dealing with injury pretty much all year. Let's start with Jurgens. What are you hearing about Jurgens as far as when he could be back?
Well, they've been pretty quiet about that. Apparently, he had an MRI a couple weeks ago that didn't show any tears, structural injuries. No ligamentous tears, no cartilage damage, but he hasn't been a full participant in practice. In fact, not even a limited participant. So we really don't know the nature of his knee injury, but they didn't put him on IR. So weeks ago, they had a chance to put him on injured reserve, and they opted not to. and they just haven't brought him back. And so Brett Toth has been playing. So I don't think there's been little word about what's going on with him. But most all the other guys we spoke about 2 weeks ago who had soft tissue injuries, we were right that they were going to come back. But that's still somewhat of a mystery, Mark.
All right, now just to move on from this game and look ahead to that Sunday game, of course, on the short week. Anything that the Eagles need to do after playing in a cold weather game like this throughout the week or immediately following the week?
I think that, obviously the field was really bad and they were slipping around and falling around. I would say that they would probably get them to ice, ironically, plenty of ice there.
Okay.
Maybe heat. But
all right.
We'll say thermal. They'll get thermal treatment.
Thermal treatment.
And they'll get range of motion, a lot of PT, and maybe give them a little extra. It's kind of a catch-22 in that you're on a short week and you want guys to come back and go through the practice and, of course, walk through Wednesdays of religion here. But, so I think it's a bit of a quandary. You're going to have to give these guys a lot of stretching and massage, but yet you're on a short week against a great team. Detroit looked great this weekend, and Dan Campbell is not afraid of coming to the Lincoln Financial Field. I think it'll be a fun game.
Yeah, and also taking over the play calling responsibilities and the offensive side of things for them as well. Dr. Bruce Grossier, thank you so much. We appreciate your insight as always.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Dr. Bruce Grossier, the Sports Doc. We'll be back in a little bit to give you our final takeaways. The Eagles improving to 7-2, also coming away with the 10-7 win at Lambeau. All that and more on the Verizon postgame show.
Since 1893, Weber Display and Packaging has been Pennsylvania's leading manufacturer of corrugated packaging and displays. We're family-owned with 4 Philadelphia locations, 2 converting facilities, a warehouse, and a fulfillment center. Designed through delivery, we exceed customer needs. Weber Display and Packaging. Our core values drive everything we do. Come join our team.
Pride, passion, and persistence. These are the values that drive us all at Ron Jaworski Golf. We strive to deliver outstanding conditions as well as playability for golfers of all ages and abilities. Our championship golf courses offer a variety of challenges from a link-style walk along the river to an escape into the pines and everything in between. My team at Ron Jaworski Golf is committed to delivering memorable experiences every single day. See all we do at ronjaworskigolf.com.
At Revolution X, we know that fortunes are made in times of uncertainty. Are you selling your investment real estate? Are you interested in deferring your tax with a 1031 exchange? At RevX, we're experts in 1031 exchange planning and the use of passive real estate options using DSTs. Not in the midst of an exchange and want to invest in real estate but don't know where to start? Revolution X has institutional grade real estate options for any size investor right now. Set up a consultation at RevXWealth.com. RevX, defer the tax, maximize the gain.
This upcoming segment is brought to you by Mid-Penn Bank. By the way, our player to bank on for today that we opened our show with was Jaelan Phillips, and him being able to go out there and ball out in his debut as a Philadelphia Eagle. We did hear from him after the game saying how excited he was to play in this game and how excited he was to help out his new teammates. He had absolutely incredible in his first game as a member of the Philadelphia Eagles, including what should have been the game, well, was the game-sealing fumble recovery, at least, for the Eagles defense. Also in on the Jalix Hunt sack, was the first to touch Jordan Love on that play, and then Hunt came in and finished him off for about, I believe it was an 11-yard loss on that sack. Derek Gunn, I'll start with you. When you think about your takeaway from this win, they're 7th of the season. What do you take away from this victory at Lambeau?
First of all, they won. It's better than sitting here talking about how they blew this game. So they won the football game. Secondly, I'm a little surprised at how lethargic the offense was and inconsistent the offense was coming out of this game. I thought the defense played a physical brand of football. You saw 2 good defenses out there playing physical football, and that was reflective in the actual low score of this game. But I do think they need to do something to the offense. The offense is too predictable, And, like we were talking about before, it looked like Green Bay knew some of the plays they were about to run, especially on the running plays, because they were doing hand signals. All of a sudden, you see guys shooting the gap. So it looked like they knew whatever the formation was the Eagles were running, it looked like Green Bay was on top of it. They had done their homework well. I don't think, we've talked about this all season long. I don't think we're going to see a dominant Eagles team in 2025. I equate this team in a lot of ways to that Kansas City team that won 11 games last year by 7 points or less and found a way to get to the Super Bowl and then got smoked by the Eagles. I think this is the kind of, when you look at the Eagles' schedule, outside of maybe Washington, unless Jalen Daniels comes back by then, I think the Eagles are going to be tooth and nail, fist to fury, most of the games the rest of the way. You still got Buffalo to play. We talked about Chicago's not going to be a pushover. We know what Detroit is. Going out and play the Chargers out there. The Chargers are balling right now, 7-3. I think it's going to be fisticuffs all the way. But if you can come out on the winning side of the ledger, especially with a bunch of young players that you have on a defense, those are character-building moments, especially when games get bigger when it comes to late December, January. That helps in a lot of ways in terms of young players' confidence at that point, because you're not a rookie or a second-year player. You're a veteran player when you get to that point of a season.
Yeah, I look at it like this. I agree with everything you said. When it comes to the defense, I feel fantastic that I think a guy like Vic Fangio got exactly what he needed on this defense, which was the talents of Jalen Phillips, who's going on this defense with a defensive line that already has two guys that can certainly win their battles in Moro Ajomo and obviously Jalen Carter. And you get a guy that could be there in pass rush. You get a guy that could be there to help you stop the run. So I think you got exactly what you needed. Combine that with Nakobe Dean coming off of IR. Combine that with Brandon Graham rejoining forces on this defense. Not a savior, but certainly an upgrade is the way I would describe that. So everything looks good defensively there. Offensively speaking, Seth, to your point from earlier, this was like you hired a chef and said, hey, you have 2 weeks to cook me a wonderful meal. He brought over the thing with the little silver top and went, voila, and it was a piece of toast. That's what you cooked me today, Kevin Patullo. That's not what I thought. That's not what I was expecting when I saw a chef in the kitchen for all that time. So the offense clearly has more things to work on. I know some people might just brush it off and say, it was -4 out there in Green Bay. 2 weeks to work on it. That's what you came up with, and you didn't see nearly the same blocking schemes that you saw earlier in the season when you really thought the Eagles were starting to unlock some things. Seth, your takeaway from this game?
I'm not worried about the defensive side of the ball because I have supreme confidence in Vic Fangio and his ability to get the best out of his players. And I think that, now that he's got some pieces and some toys to play with, like you saw multiple packages on the field today with different players in different positions doing different things that were a little bit different than some of the things that we've seen in the past. So he's got all the tools and all the pieces, to create something that cause offenses, to have problems. I am concerned with the offensive side of the ball and its ability to be more creative and find out ways to get A.J. Brown involved. He is too good of a player to only receive 2 passes in a full 60-minute football game. Okay, you've got to figure out a way to get him free, to get him open. Listen, I don't care if you got to take him and move him in the slot and move him around, but you figure out a way to get him the ball. You can't just line him up at X all the time and think that teams aren't going to be able to take him away. When you isolate him by himself in a 3-by-1 situation, now you really give a defense an advantage because I can take one of the safeties and just move him over, and when I got 2-on-1, I can take him completely out of the play. Okay? So now the creative side, now we're what? We're 9 games into the season. What's the likelihood, guys, of this offense coming up and being a little more creative than it's been? We saw it. We know that potential is there because we saw it the last 2 weeks. So what happened between the 2 weeks of bye and tonight's game? Because this offense today looked eerily like it looked the first 5 games of the season. It just did. That's just a fact. It looked that way. And we can talk about how good Green Bay is and so on and so forth. That's fine. We still had more success from an offensive perspective than they had. Okay? But at the end of the day, the offense has got to be fixed. This is a passing league. This is a league that's hung its hat on the proverbial quarterback and the passing game. And we're not getting it done as far as well as we need to. Like when I look at high-powered offenses, when I look at very good offenses, they figure out ways to beat coverages. They've got routes that are designed just to beat specific coverages. And then when you get the man-to-man, when the quarterback can pre-snap and read man-to-man, now, because of his film study, he's looking at it and saying, okay, where's my number one matchup? Where's my mismatch? That might be A.J., that might be Devontae, that might be Dallas. God forbid, that might even be Jahan Dotson with the number 3 cornerback on him, and you know that he can win that battle. And the quarterback's looking to try to figure out how to get that guy the ball. But the offense, and you heard Jalen say it. I wrote it down, I put a star next to it, and I highlighted under it. He used the word consistent. Now, if the quarterback is talking about being consistent, then maybe there's something to it, because I keep saying the same exact thing. This offense has to play much more consistent in order for this team, when it's all said and done, for them to get to where they want to get to. Because the defense is not going to be able to carry them all season long the way they did today. They're going to have good games. But the odds say at some point in time, the defense is going to need the offense D-gun to carry the day. That's just the nature of the game.
I'm almost to a point where I want to see some plays of trickery. I want to see some plays of deception. In a lot of ways, I am so looking forward to seeing this Detroit offense Sunday night because of the way they run their offense. They use a lot, instead of just lining up and just mauling the opponent, they embarrass them in a lot of ways with a lot of different gadget play. I mean, some of the stuff they've run, you don't see in the National Football League, but it's successful for them. So I'm interested in seeing what Detroit is going to come at this Eagles defense with. But I do, like Seth said, I want to see the Eagles offense get more creative. Something, anything. With the wealth of talent that you have on this offense, across the board, arguably the best roster offensively in the National Football League, and you play pedestrian football like this? I mean, come on, you got a lot of money invested in his offense. From the offensive lineman, 2 wide receivers, running back, quarterback. You got some of the highest paid players in the game at these positions. I want to see better structure, more creativity, and to use Jalen's word, more consistency.
Yeah, I would like that. Certainly like to see that. We've been pretty consistent as far as giving things aways go here on the show. Seth, I believe we have another giveaway we want to tee up here as well.
Yes, it looks like Barry Williams has won the Seth Joyner signed football and helmet. My email is there. If you email me your address, all the pertinent information, we will get that helmet, that mini helmet, and the football out to you as well. In the coming weeks, we've got some tickets that we're going to give away. I believe it's the November 28th game. Yeah. We're going to give those tickets away the week before. So make sure you guys are tuned in.
That's Black Friday, by the way, 3 o'clock.
Yes, yes.
The Bears.
Make sure you guys are tuned in next Friday for we're going to be giving those tickets away. And we're just going to keep giving stuff away all along to the season's over. We got some more jerseys to give away. We've got some more mini helmets and footballs to give away. And in the spirit of giving away, before we go, let's go ahead and give D-Gun his shameless plug before we leave.
Yes, as you can see right there, the D-Gun Help a Brother Out Foundation is also looking for some jersey and some tickets as well. I know I'm last on the list. I understand that, Seth, but you know what? If you don't ask, you don't know if you can get anything, right? Ask and you shall receive. Seek and you shall find.
Okay.
Right?
You got your 30 minutes of fun.
Man,
I
thought that would get him.
As we get closer to the holiday season, I want to share with you guys that the Joyner Family Foundation, that's my wife and I started. We're going to be adopting 3 families during the holidays with not only Christmas gifts for the kids, but also, a full Christmas meal for the family. Some stuff, some needs fulfilled for the parents as well. And what we're asking is, if you have the capability, if you have it in your heart, to scan that QR code and donate to the Joyner Family Foundation. We're already off to a great start. A lot of people have already, blessed us with the ability to help these families. And guess what? If we supersede our number And I want to say, and I may be speaking out of turn, but I think our number is around 10 grand. If we supersede that number or we get close to that number, we may just go ahead and adopt 2 or 3 more families. So for anybody that's feeling charitable, anyone that has a heart for people who are a lot less fortunate than we are, we would like for you to partner with us as we partner with Legacy Plastic Surgery in this endeavor to raise funds to bless these 3 families, and hopefully, we can double those numbers with your help.
That's awesome.
That's
man.
fantastic.
That's awesome.
And that's, of course, if you didn't already donate to the Help a Brother Out Foundation. Put your money out there.
Make sure you donate to the Joyner Family
Yes.
Foundation
Yes.
before you donate to the Help a Brother Out Foundation.
First and foremost, the Joyner Foundation. Yes, indeed. I agree.
Just so we're clear,
agree.
everybody.
Yeah.
Just so we're clear, Philadelphia Eagles improved to 7-2 on the
Birds.
season. How about that? That's the bottom line. 10-7 victory at Lambeau Field. We appreciate you guys joining us here on the Seth Joyner Show YouTube channel and 6abc.com. We greatly appreciate everybody helping us out here. And also Creative Outfit and our friends over there at the Tinderbox as well, and White Dog Cafe. For Seth Joyner, Derek Gunn,
This is
what?
I said. How about D Gun Grow a Stash Foundation?
Yes,
man.
I've donated heavily to that.
No, ain't gonna happen, man. I'll grow it back after the season.
I'm
Not
saying
during
Eagles.
the season.
I might start a GoFundMe for that one.
Eagles. There you go.
Hey, they winning without the stash.
It's
So what does that
Movember.
tell you?
Yeah.
It was not the
They
stash.
were dominating last year. They're eking out wins.
Are they
left and
winning?
right.
I know
Are they
it,
winning?
I know what it is.
Are they
What's
winning?
that? I know what it is. I tell you what.
What?
If you grow the stash back,
Here we go.
Okay.
Here we go.
I'll get you a sponsorship with Just for Men hair dye. I know that's
Hair
what
dye?
that's what it is.
What the heck I need Just for Men hair dye for?
He don't want
Scalp dye? What you talking?
Too much salt, no pepper.
He don't want the gray
No,
stash.
no, this ain't great. It's white. My facial hair is white, dude. I ain't looking like Father Time sitting
There we
doing
go.
white.
I tell you.
There you go.
I'm telling you, man. I ain't gonna lie to you.
You're on the nail.
I'm
Hit the
straight
nail
up.
right
You know,
on the head.
hey, look, you know me. I'm gonna be straight up, man. I grew that thing one time. Grew the beard. I thought I could be a store Santa Claus, man. It was so white. I'm like,
Well, listen, I got a buddy that's a barber. You know that black stuff that they kind of outline.
no, we ain't doing
We
that.
can take care of you with that.
No, because you get caught in the rain, stuff starts dripping all down your face and stuff, and your shirt, mess up your shirt and everything. No, it's all right. I'm good. I'm good.
I swear I was trying to get out before that, Gunner, but couldn't help ourselves, I guess. All right, we appreciate you guys joining us. Make sure you like and subscribe to the Seth Joyner Show YouTube channel. Thanks for watching on the Seth Joyner Show YouTube channel as well. And 6abc.com. For Derek Gunn, for Seth Joyner, for Bailey Livesey, and Dr. Bruce Gross. Here I'm Mark Farzetta. Back with you guys. Another primetime matchup. This one, Sunday Night Football. Sunday night against those Detroit Lions. We'll see you guys then.
Go Birds.